Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are doing a Mayael, the Anima deck tech. Somewhat of an experimental cEDH deck tech. Um, a lot of people don't immediately scream Mayael, the Anima is cEDH. And when I mean cEDH, I mean not tournament cEDH, or like you like playing cEDH because you don't like the tempo of casual. So you build all your decks with cEDH mentality in mind, but this isn't necessarily a tournament cEDH deck. This is more a tabletop with your friends playing cEDH because you guys like that type of gameplay. So, with that in mind, let's go into this deck. Again, I don't think this would like do anything with tournaments. This is for cEDH tables playing together because they want to have fun. So, with that in mind, who's Mayael the Anima? Mayael the Anima costs 1 red, 1 green, 1 white. He's a legendary creature, Elf Shaman. That's a 2/3 and has an ability cost 6. 3 generic, 1 red, 1 green, 1 white, and tapper. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a creature card with power 5 or greater from among them onto the battlefield. Then you put the rest at the bottom in any order. So, let's start off with the lands. We have 29 lands in this deck. We got Ancient Tomb, Arid Mesa, Useju Honduras, Bountiful Promenade, City of Brass, Command Tower, Exotic Orchard, Forbidden Orchard, Forest, Rising Canopy, Mana Confluence, Maze of Ith, Minas Tirith, Mountain, Nykthos, Shrine to Nyx, a Plains, Reflecting Pool, Reliquary Tower, Sacred Foundry, Spectator City, Spire Garden, Spire of Industry, Stomping Ground, Strip Mine, Some Big Canyon, Temple Garden, Urza Saga, Windswept Heath, and Wooded Foothills. Next, we're going to get into the artifacts. Agatha Soul Cauldron, Arcane Signet, Boral Signet, Chrome Mox, Gruul Signet, Manic Crypt, Mox Diamond, Mox Opal, Scroll Rack, Silesian Signet, Sensei's Divine Top, Soul Ring, Sword of Hearth and Home, The One Ring, Thought Vessel, Thousand Year Elixir, Asceticism. Now we're going to get into our enchantments. Asceticism, Beastmaster Ascension, Instill Energy, Lurking Predators, and Nature's Chosen. Onto our sorceries, we have an Eldritch Evolution, Gamble, Savine's Reclamation, and Sylvan Tutor. Onto our instants, we have a Braid, Benefactor's Drought, Benefactor's Draft, Deflecting Swat, Disenchant, Enlightened Tutor, Get Lost, Heroic Intervention, Legolas's Quick Reflexes, Nature's Claim, Noxious Revival, Path to Exile, Silence, Snakeskin Veil, Swords to Plowshares, Teferi's Protection, Veil of Summer, Vitalize, and Burly Tutor. Onto our creature package, we have Agatha of the Vile Cauldron, Aurelia, the War Leader, Avacyn, Angel of Hope, Birds of Paradise, Bloom Tender, Craterhoof Behemoth, Dauntless Dismantler, Dockside Extortionist, Fey Burrow Elder, Vigor, Gisela, Blade of Gold Knight, Giver of Runes, Heliod Suncrowned, Jetmir, Nexus of Revels, Mother of Runes, Nylea Keen-Eyed, Orn Frostfang, Oher Kalsim, Deepest Growth, Reclamation Sage, Seaborn Muse, Sevala, Heart of the Wilds, Sarah Ascendant, Skrelv, Defector Might, Terror of the Peaks, Voja, Jaws of the Conclave, Zerda the Dumb Waker, and Sopendrel, Hunger Dominus. So let's talk about the deck. So obviously, Mayael's big thing is cheating big chunky creatures into play. And with 27 creatures in the deck, we're going to be hitting that quite often, especially since the majority of them our big fatty 5/5s or bigger, and we have things to protect ourselves in the form of instants that protect our permanence, or they just change targets of stuff. Uh, we have ways to tutor to the top of our decks to guarantee that we have triggers going off with Mayael. Agatha's Soul Cauldron makes it so that even if we don't have the correct colors, we can still activate Mayael's ability, even though that most of the time, you know, Mayael's casting costs means that you will have the correct mana for the ability. If someone lands a Blood Boon, we can still use her. Is the main concern there. We have mana ramp in the form of creatures and artifacts. We have scroll rack, so we can manipulate the top of our deck and get guaranteed hits for things that we don't want to cast from our hands. Sword of Hearth and Home is a infinite combo with Aurelia, and we got the One Ring for draw. We got ways to untap our commander with some of the enchantments we have. Instill Energy and Nature's Chosen both do the same thing. So you tap your commander once, then they both separately allow you to untap your commander once. So if you have both of them on your commander, you get to untap her twice a turn, hence getting 3 activations of her. We have other ways to untap our commander in the way of a Benefactor's Draft and Legolas's Quick Reflexes and Vitalize. Other things that we have in the deck is Agatha Soul Cauldron and Zerda both make activating Mayael's ability cheaper. Just them by themselves, without Agatha being boosted up, if they're both on the field, will make it so that Mayael's ability only costs the colored pips in her color cost to activate, which they cannot reduce. So it will always, at minimum, with both of them on the field, cost 3, and with Agatha's, it's 3 of any. Avacyn's here because she's a big beater. You can get her for free. Makes your things indestructible. Bloom Tender and Faber Elder make it so that you have 2 permanents that give you at minimum 3 mana if you have all your colors on the field, and at minimum 1 with if Bloom Tender's on the field by herself, she gives you 1, and Faber Elder will give you 2. Vigor's in here for further protection. You can swing at your opponents without you needing to worry about combat damage, and they will get stronger because of his ability. That is, whenever if damage will be dealt to another creature you control, prevent that damage and put that many +1/+1 counters on them instead for each damage prevented this way. So you can block your you can swing it to your opponents and they can block, and you don't have to worry about your creatures dying, even if it's the blocking creature is stronger than yours, because instead of dying, they just take that much +1/+1 counters instead. Another cool interaction with this: if someone casts a Blasphemous Act trying to catch you out and destroy everything, if Vigor's on the field, he just sees 13 damage being dealt, because that's how Blasphemous Act is worded. 13 damage being dealt to all your creatures, so he will put 13 counters on all your creatures, and then he himself will die, but he will be shuffled back into your library because of his own effect when he hits the graveyard. So great protection in the deck that you can just put onto the battlefield with her ability. Gisela, Blade of Gold Knight, just another quick way to end games by doubling all damage that's done to your opponents and having all damage done to you. Give her runes for the protection. Heliod is in here to not only because he's a big fat beater, but also to enable you to survive the game a little bit, because we do have a One Ring in here. We have fetches, we have shocks. He can get you some of that life back, and he can also put +1/+1 counters on the creatures, make them even bigger. This deck is just about mainly winning through combat damage. So anything that furthers that game plan a little bit faster is great. Jetmir is in here for the same reasons. If Elish Norn, the Grand Cinnabite was 5 power instead of 4, she'd be in here as well. But we have Jetmir because not only is he very castable in this deck because he costs 4 mana instead of a bunch, he is 5 power, and his abilities make it so that the more creatures you have, the more stronger they get, and the more abilities that he gives to everyone else. Mom is in here for protection. Nylea is in here to make your creatures reduce cost a little bit less, and she's easy to cast. So even if she gets stuck in your hand, you can still cast her very easily, and she will make your other creatures be casted for one less, which is not doesn't sound like much, but in this deck is unbelievably a great help. Oran Frostfang is in here to make your creatures harder to block because they all have Death Touch when they attack, and if they do damage to a player, you draw a card. So great card. You cannot get the Oran Frostfang off the Mayael trigger, but it's a great one to tutor up to the top of the deck and then draw and then just cast anyways. Oher Kalsem is in here because she is a 6 power, so she meets Mayael's stipulations for being able to be put on the battlefield for free. And she has this great ability that if she does damage to a player, you get to look at the top cards of your library for that many the same amount of damage that she dealt to the player, and you can put a creature and or land card from among them into the battlefield, and then put them at the bottom of your library. And she has trample, so hard to block. Great ability, just cheats creatures and lands into play. Just everything the deck wants. Reclamation Sage is in here because Reclamation Sage does good things. Seaboard Muse is in here because there's nothing on Mayael's abilities that says this is sorcery speed. This card is printed way before do this as sorcery speed was a regular thing. So if we have a Seaboard Muse in the deck, we can do this at least once on every turn around the table, which is crazy to think about. We got Zavala Heart of the Wilds for mana production in this deck. We got Saracen then, not because it can be cheated into play, but because it can be a easy early beater that gets in there for extra damage and gains you life, so that you can still be putting pressure on your opponents when even though your engine's not up and ready yet. Skrelv for further protection. Terror of the Peaks. So many of these creatures in the deck have big power on them, and when he sees creatures enter the battlefield, he deals damage equal to that creature's power to any target. So if there's an Adnals player at the table, Terror of the Peaks sees something like Ojeda come in, deal 6 damage to that person without even having to swing at them. And then the other cool thing about Terror of the Peaks is he has a primitive version of Ward as well. So whenever someone targets him, it costs an additional 3 life to target him. Voja is in here because Voja is fucking great. Voja has Vigilance, Trample, and Ward, all the keywords on this big boy. He's a 5/5, and whenever he attacks, he puts X +1/+1 counters on each creature you control, where X is the number of elves you control. There's a lot of elves in this deck, but there is an elven commander, so at least you will be getting at least 1 or 2 if you have Bloom Tender out, 2 counters on all your creatures, and then you draw a card for each wolf you control, which will just be him, but at least it's something. He's just too good not to include. Even if it's just him and 1 elf, the amount of value he gets is crazy. And, even if you have just him, your commander, and Aurelia out, that's 2 counters on all your creatures each swing, and 2 card draws. So he is ridiculous. We have Zerda to make activating Mayael cheaper, and Zopandrel the fucking G. Um, he does not abide by the stipulations of Mayael because he's 4 power instead of 5. But the reason I like him in these type of decks is because it's just a ridiculous fucking card. Um, you double the power and toughness uh, of each creature you control until a turn at the beginning of each combat. So not only do we have ways to get multiple combats in this deck with Aurelia, we also have ways to with where is she? Gisela to double the damage that creatures are doing. So you double with Zopendel first, and then you double with Gisela at resolution of damage, and you're killing people quickly. Asceticism is in here to not only protect your creatures but regenerate them. Beastmaster Ascension is in here because we can get to Beastmasters in 1 to 2 turns, depending on what's out there, and every creature gets +5/+5 after your Beastmasters is online. And this deck is just about beating face. I wouldn't say fair magic, but old school kitchen table beat face magic. Thank you guys for joining us for this video. And if you have any suggestions, comment and then subscribe. And thank you.